Yo. What's up, y'all?
How you
Welcome
doing,
back.
Clarence?
I'm all right. Welcome, everybody, to Brown and Orange Weekly. We're back at it again. Uh, Dean, come home. Dean's still setting up his internet. But Dean, we miss you. Come home. But in your steed, I got my man, the Fritz, James Ellifritz, filling in. You know him as a co-host of Guardians of the CLE. And you know him from all over the place. This man is Mr. Worldwide. What's his name? Whatever that bum rapper is. Sorry.
Oh, I'm a bum rapper. Okay, I'll take that. Bum rappers get paid too.
But Mr. Worldwide, though, that's the whole part.
Right.
Yeah, that's the part that matters.
Well, hey, thanks for having me back today.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we survived our bye week somehow. Somehow, as Browns fans, we were able to find things to discuss negatively. You know, when we didn't have a loss, but we still I didn't hear a lot of good conversations going on through social media and through close contacts about our team and our situation leading into this weekend's game against the 49ers. So, Clarence, what are we going to do this weekend?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Everybody thinks we're going to get killed.
And they might be right.
They really might be right, but I'm reserving judgment until I see a little bit out of old PJ. I don't think we're going to win, but I also don't think that we're going to see 27-3. I don't think we're going to get destroyed. Maybe this is just the little bit of optimistic Clarence coming out, but I don't see us getting killed. I like PJ. I like his chances more than I did DTR last week, and we'll get into that with his short notice start. But I don't know. I don't think we're going to win, but I'm not feeling as bad as I guess I did at the end of last week.
Well, if you want to
start 2 weeks ago.
If you want to feel worse, watch the Niners game from last week.
Yeah, I watched it.
They destroyed the Cowboys. I do realize we could have a situation where the same way the Cowboys went into Arizona and Josh Dobbs, our former backup, was able to lead the Cardinals to victory over the Cowboys, the red hot Cowboys at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if we want to lean on the any given Sunday situations that happen throughout the league, throughout the year, that's an opportunity that, you know, we have to take advantage of if we can. So the question for you that I have is, how do we do that? So if you're going to be optimistic, my question is, how do we score points?
First off, we stop running. We stop with the trying to make Elijah Moore Tyreek Hill, and if he is the guy that they say he is, we shouldn't need all these trick plays and all this stuff to get him the ball. Just give him the ball normally and see what he can do. I don't think he is Tyreek Hill. I think he is a weapon, but the way the Browns are using him is just absolutely ridiculous. Also, they're gonna have to use the running back by committee. I mean, that's the only way they're going to be able to do it. I think more than score points, because I think 13 to 17 points is about the max of what they're going to be able to score. I think it's going to be on the defense more than anything to shut their offense down. And I think our defense has a decent shot at doing that.
That's pretty much how it will look.
And I think you're right. You know, one of the things I read today was the fact that Jim Schwartz has had success against Kyle Shanahan in the past.
Yes.
So what I read on X, and this is at @JackHammer_NFL. First of all, Jack Hammer, I hope that's your real name. But he mentioned Kyle Shanahan's faced Jim Schwartz 9 times. Shanahan is 1-8 in those matchups, and his offense has scored over 20 points just one time.
Just one time. Yeah, I saw the same stat.
Yeah, so the Falcons OC at the time in 2016, Shanahan's offense averaged 33.9 points through the first 9 games. And then in game 10, they faced the Eagles and Jim Schwartz's D. And Philadelphia held Atlanta to 15 points. It was the only time that season the Falcons didn't score at least 23. So how do we get into that 20 range to have a chance to win on Sunday? For me, you have to look at all 3 levels. It's offense, defense, and special teams. And for me, I don't think we're getting 20-some points out of our offense.
No.
Even if we're running successfully against a very, very, very good San Francisco defense. So for me, our defense knows that they're going to have to put points on the board. So between our defense and our special teams, and I know punt returns, kick returns, they're not the thing to count on anymore for points. But our defense, I think they got in their mind, they got to try to get 2. And anytime they get a turnover, they're trying to take it to the house. I don't think anybody will be catching an interception and just kind of sliding down and living with it. I think they're gonna. I'm good if they pitch the ball backwards to a faster player. Say a linebacker gets an interception, they pitch it back. Because I just got done last night. I watched the top 50 plays highlights of Deion Sanders' career, and I'm like, oh my gosh, man, this is what a dream. Watching him catching passes for touchdowns, returning kicks, returning punts, defensive pick sixes. I'm like, gosh, look at all the points just himself was putting on the board, especially those Atlanta teams.
Yeah.
I think he only had like one playoff team in Atlanta that I think went to – I think they lost at Washington that year in the division round. And but long story short,
Yeah, that's right.
you know, we don't have any Deion Sanders on this squad. We got to, you know, we definitely have a solid secondary, and that defensive line has made our linebackers and secondary look much better because the quarterback doesn't have as much time to get comfortable in the pocket. And I'm hoping our guys at the next level will start taking little chances, hopefully trying to jump some routes.
It's gonna take that. It's gonna take a complete team effort for them to beat San Francisco. I'm not ruling it out. Maybe that's some wishful thinking on my part because there's a good chance I'm going to this game.
We won't talk about how I replied on the text for that one.
Yeah. It's I need something to get the taste of the Pittsburgh game out of my mouth, and I'm not sure this is the game that's going to do that. Quite honestly, but I don't know. There's just I feel like they're not going to get smashed. That is, I'm not calling a win. I just feel like there's something that they're just not going to get killed. The defense is going to play well enough, and PJ is going to play well enough. But again, this is again, that situation where, you miss Nick Chubb because you can't lean on him with Watson being out, and we're going to get into that in a second. But you can't lean on him with Watson being out, and I don't know. I'm very the question of how we score points is a great question. I'm not sure how we do it. I just feel like somehow they eke it out. But there's the other side of me that says this is Kevin Stefanski, and I'm not going to lie. I've been questioning him for 3 years now. So
yeah,
it's the offense doesn't seem to be doing what it should do. But let's get into maybe a big reason of why we think that why there's so much doom and gloom, and that is because of the situation with our quarterback Deshaun Watson. 2 weeks ago, it was said that he was thought he was going to play right up until game time. 10:30 in the morning, it comes down he's not going to play. After that, everybody basically comes out and says, "Oh yeah, he'll be ready for San Francisco. We got the bye week, and then he'll be ready to play." And here we are, 3 days before the game, and
he didn't practice today.
Hasn't practiced all week.
Yep.
I'm reading something. I was getting a bunch of texts on my phone saying that it's pretty much official that he is not playing. I'm trying to find that somewhere. It's your boys and their sources. I'm getting all kind of texts saying he's not playing, but I mean, it's not a shocker at this point. What do you think?
Well, that's the thing. He hasn't been ruled as of right now, as of recording this. He is, he's not been ruled out yet, but there's no sign saying that it looks like he's going to play. So you're already hearing about PJ Walker. So, I mean, we're all kind of already mentally preparing for that, and maybe that's better for the team too, because for DTR to find out the previous game at about 10:30 in the morning that he's going to start his first start in the NFL against one of the best defenses in the NFL. That's tough on a kid, young guy.
Yeah.
This isn't Tom Brady filling in for Drew Bledsoe later in the season, right before the playoffs, back in that day. This was early in the season, limited time playing, which I know people got excited over preseason. I don't know why anybody still drinks that Kool-Aid. But nothing against DTR. Like I love listening to his press conferences when he does talk, when he does get some mic time. I think he's a gritty kid. I think he's a winner. So I see what the team likes in him. It's just that was not his golden opportunity in my mind as far as having a young player prepared to start an NFL game that day. And I really think that's why the Stefanski thing, where that came out, and when he said after the game that Watson was medically cleared to play, and then it goes back on it where, well, you still got to be functionally, is that what he said?
Yeah,
functionally able to play.
The hell does that mean?
On.
The hell does that mean? Like, so he was medically cleared, but not functionally cleared. So what is it? I need to know the difference. I really need to know the difference.
Does that mean, well, he's not scheduled for surgery on that shoulder, therefore
Today,
show up to the game?
Yeah.
Right? I don't know what the hell that means. All I know is he didn't play, and it was the biggest game, I mean, of the year, the early part of the year. We'd already played Cincinnati. We took advantage of that situation. Our defense looked awesome on a day where it was rain and you had a broken Joe Burrow out there. So we took advantage of that situation. But that's what great teams do.
Yeah.
You show up and do that. San Francisco showed up against the Cowboys and did that and just laid the wood to them.
Beat the brakes off them.
That's what you do. When we watch college football, it's the same way. If one of these top 5 teams play an unranked team at home and they're supposed to be one of the, I said top 5, but top 4 making the playoffs, and it needs to look that way. They show up every Saturday that way. Now, don't get me wrong. Young players in college, you get that week where you're maybe going to sleep or you're playing the rivalry game, even against an unranked rival. Those can be tough, but this is the NFL. And we did win against Cincinnati, but our 2 most physical opponents, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and I know that it was the DTR game for Baltimore, but here we are with San Francisco. Here's the 3 most physical, tough opponents that we have to face, and we're staring 0-3 right in the face.
Yeah.
That can't make any of us feel good.
No. I think the frustration lies, and I will say, per Josina Anderson, 6:33 tonight. Josina Anderson says that her sources say Deshaun Watson will not play. Josina's pretty good about what she does, so. And again, it's not a shocker, but it is what it is. And I think that's the biggest problem is that we expected to see this team with Nick Chubb and Deshaun Watson and out there every week, and playing and to see exactly what the hell we've been waiting to see. We've been heard all off season, this new offense and this and that, and here we are, in week 6, in our 5th game, and we don't have either one of them playing.
Right.
And it's been that way. This is the 2nd week in a row. It's been that way. So we don't even know what we have. And does this again, does this stunt the growth again of this offense in this team?
It's got to, because they were already, our receivers, nobody was looking like they're going to step up and be the number one, even with those two in the lineup in the first few games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's our challenge. I look back at and compared to the Cavs when they would give LeBron and Kyrie like the Veterans Day off, and that's what this feels like. Remember how bad the Cavs would struggle scoring without their two playmakers on the floor. That goes to show how much they relied on getting set up by those two players.
Mm-hmm.
And now you got Deshaun and Chubb out. It's, of course we're going to struggle. And it's to be expected. And that's why I'm saying the defense knows they have to score. If you see turnovers this Sunday, look for these guys to get in that end zone at all costs. But also, I mentioned special teams. The guy, and you're talking about low scoring. We brought up about Kyle Shanahan versus sports defense, keeping the score low. The guy that we need to really think about is Hopkins. Dustin Hopkins, this could be his game. This could be his 4 field goal game, maybe 2 extra points. Maybe the offense scores 1 touchdown. He gets the extra point off that and gets his other extra point off a defensive score, but then gets us some field goals. So this could be a Dustin Hopkins game.
It would be nice. I don't know, man. The more we talk about it, the more I'm like, man, this really sucks. Like it absolutely, because I feel like we're in the never-ending period of, all right, we got all this stuff, but we don't know exactly what it is because guys aren't able to play, and I really feel like the more I think about this, the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, these guys might walk out here and get absolutely murked. Just because I think these are all NFL players, and they're going to go out and play hard, especially this defense. But what do you think about like the morale of these guys? What coming into this game, knowing that there is no, Watson. We're not inside the locker room, so we don't really know, what was going on with the Watson situation. Some players said, like we talked about last time, some players said they knew about it, they saw it coming. Some said they didn't. Knowing that they're going in now with PJ Walker, you think like the morale? How would you think the morale is doing in that locker room, especially with everything going on with the front office as well?
I think what you said is important because these guys are professionals. So they're going to be prepped and ready to go. They're going to be hyped up. You're going to be looking at your captains. They're going to take the field. The flames are going to shoot up by the helmet when the players come out. The fans will be into it, all that. But bottom line is, if we start going down 2 scores quick against this team, and as much passion and emotion and that has to happen as you're trying to, physically dominate the other team at the line of scrimmage and contain that offense, how do you do that for 4 quarters if you're down 2 scores the whole time? How long can you keep going play after play? And honestly, I've heard enough on the radio about, Deshaun Watson's pay and all that. And honestly, I think and no matter what position you're in and what you get paid, when the game starts, the paycheck don't matter to me. I mean, I get why they say, well, that's why that guy's paid, to make the big plays at the big moments of the game. So I do respect that. But honestly, when they're on the field, they ain't thinking about their damn wallet. I mean, they're not. So I'm really thinking it's about scoreboard, but I totally agree with you. How do you stay that hype for 4 quarters if you can just see 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out
Okay.
as a defender,
Yep.
or even as a lineman, you're trying to contain Nick Bosa in that defense. And everybody's already beaten the hell out of Jed Wills, and Jed Wills' play deserves the criticism. He deserves the feedback on that. And I don't know what's happened to this young man. Clarence, you remember back when there was something that was said that he didn't really like that came from our area. I don't know who said it. I don't think it was a reporter. I don't know if maybe he was just reading stuff on social media. But it seems like ever since there was something where I think he put a tweet out that was a little bit negative, either about the fan base or the city or something. It seems like ever since then, he's kind of checked out.
Okay. I mean, I remember him. I know he had a tweet, and well, that's the thing. Like last year, the team's so damn online and so got their rabbit ears up all the flipping time. Where I remember Will saying something, and then I remember John Johnson III, I think, was going in people's DMs, going in Twitter, people on Twitter's DMs, and saying, "Stop talking about me," and like just Will's. I think you're right. I think Will's has kind of checked out, and I'm not sure how to bring him back, and that's a serious issue because if Watson does get back, or when Watson does get back, you can't have that guy protecting him. You cannot have him protecting him.
Right now, we don't have any other choice.
But why are we doing it? I guess why, like. Again, I feel like this front office just leaves things just kind of there that everybody can see. Everybody can see. But they're just go, oh, well, what we got is what we got to be fine. No, like what's the worst case scenario? And think about that and think about how you're going to fix that. That's what I guess that's me. That's how I think. What is the worst case scenario, and how can I fix that? Why don't they think that way?
I mean, scout. The management team does what they can to put a solid roster together, communicating with the coaches, staff as well. At some point, it's got to be about the players performing. And look at the Jim Schwartz factor on that defense. So we want to credit the front office for helping build that defensive line. But I'm sure damn well, and you and I are on the outs. It's not like we have credentials to go sit at all the media press conferences and speak to the players or the coaches, any of that. So, our sources are other sources, right? We're reading and trying to do our homework based on all the local coverage or national coverage that we have. But at some point, like I said, the general manager, they did something to build that defensive line, and then Schwartz help motivate and structure this defense to get the most out of it. And that's all you want as a manager, a coach, anything. You want to get the most out of what you put out there and your talent. And I really think about it this way, Clarence. So on Sunday, if Nick Saban was on the sideline with that headset instead of Stefanski, how do you think Jed Wills would play? I think his performance level goes up.
Either that or his ass might not play at all.
Well, I mean, he played him at Alabama. I know. Well, don't get me wrong. Yeah. I mean, Nick would go, yeah, you're playing like shit next. But my point is the motivational factor. If Deshaun did play and had Dabo Sweeney on the sideline this Sunday, and they did play, I think his performance level would go up because those players have built those relationships with those coaches. Yes, it was in college, but in the professional level, do they still have that comfort level? Can they go to their coaches and say what they need to say? And Jed Wills is, I think, way farther down the road and a lot, has had so much criticism in the last, what do we want to say, over a year now?
Yeah.
Did it start mid-season last year? Or did it start right at the beginning? I don't really recall.
I think it was kind of like early season. I think people kind of started noticing it. Then it just kind of snowballed.
But I really think that these like a Jed Wills is just him as an example. Whether, and that's why I said checked out, whether he draws inspiration from anybody, his teammates. But like I said, it is professionals, and if you can't find it from somebody else, then you got to do it your damn self. But I think we realize this is the ultimate team sport, and these guys need each other, and they need to pick each other up, and I'm sure they do. And unfortunately, right now, it's just not working for him. And Jed Wills is a big reason why we're talking about Deshaun Watson's injuries.
Yeah, I guess I'm wondering. I'm wondering, do the Browns make some kind of move, and it's not necessarily at the on the offensive line, but I'm wondering, as you know, we're in week 6. Trade deadline is after, what is it, the Tuesday after week 8, I believe it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think that's when it is, and I'm wondering, do you see the Browns making any kind of move for anybody that is out there? Obviously, the Jonathan Taylor saga is over, so we don't need to talk about him. Dalvin Cook, I know, is out in New York. Who knows what they're going to do? It seems like Hall is running well there. But do you see the Browns maybe trying to rectify? And I guess I shouldn't even say rectify, because again, we don't even know what the hell they are because we haven't seen them complete. But what, a week and a half, 2 weeks of the entire season. But do you see them doing anything? Do you see them thinking about doing anything?
I don't think at the running back position. I know there's some rumors going around about Dearness Johnson to come
Heard
from
that as well.
Jacksonville, and I'm sure that's probably us more stirring that than them. Where does he fit? Does he replace Kareem and Ford, and does he automatically jump to the number 1 spot? But you don't. You're not going to trade draft picks for that. The running back position in itself is already devalued. So I think the market itself is even going to dictate, and whether or not how many teams are out of it by that point. Who wants to be a seller?
Mm-hmm.
So if there's not that many sellers on, the Broncos are playing terrible. Hopefully they play terrible tonight. And us being old 80s, Browns fans, we love seeing the Broncos struggle. But are they willing to part with some of their top talent to try to get some more draft picks? To me, that sounds like the Browns, what they used to be. It's always about draft picks. And the thing is, you got to develop talent. Anybody can have draft picks. You got to develop talent.
You got to pick the right guy and then develop them.
Yeah, and you're going to pick wrong guys too.
Yeah, sure.
It's going to happen. Every team does it. They make bad choices in free agency too.
But every team does it. But it seems like the Browns seem to do it more often. Just maybe, and that's maybe because that's our team and this is what we watch. But I also feel like, when it comes to the development of the players, I'm not sure that we've had the coaches here to develop guys that we bring in. I do not like the Steelers. I cannot stand the damn Steelers. But you know what? As a franchise, they've had 3 coaches in my entire life, in our entire lives. We've had 3 coaches, and it does not matter. Their current coach, Mike Tomlin, it does not matter what team goes out in that field. They look prepared, and it's very rare you see them go out there and get killed.
Because they play and they have an organization
Mm-hmm.
that's professional.
Mm-hmm.
It's professional. Do they win every week? No, but they have a culture. They have a standard that's set, and they hit that mark. So as you were talking, I was thinking of a question that I'd love to hear all Browns fans say and answer. When the Browns went to Baltimore, and some say, oh, they didn't go. Hold on. So when we lost our franchise to Baltimore, but yet we kept and fought for our team history, our colors, our name. if somehow we could have kept Ozzie Newsome, and I know it took 4 years to get a damn team back, but if somehow we could have had Ozzie Newsome in 1999 versus our team history and colors, which one would you pick?
I'd take Ozzy.
Yeah. You could call us to Cleveland, whatever the hell you want to call us, and make us pink and black like the Heart Foundation. I wouldn't have cared
Nope.
what our name was, because Ozzie Newsome has set the standard in Baltimore and has did an unbelievable job. I think it was the first draft in Baltimore. They draft 2 Hall of Famers in the first round, Jonathan Ogden and Ray Lewis.
Yep.
And as Browns fans, I know we hate to say good things about Pittsburgh and Baltimore, but they're our 2 biggest problems. We think about the entire NFL and the league and what we need to do, and hell, that kind of offense looks fancy and all this and that, and all those 2 do is keep playing AFC North football every time, and more times than not, they come out on the winning side because they come out to play more physical than you, take care of the football, and those are the 2 things that we've struggled this year.
But as organizations, though, I feel like they always make the right move, it seems like. Like in the hiring of their head coaches alone. I wasn't Harbaugh wasn't he a special teams coach, if I'm not mistaken?
Coach with the Eagles.
Yeah, he's a special teams coach.
So was Bill Cowher.
Yeah, he turns out to, yep, exactly. And I know Tomlin was a defensive coach with Minnesota, right? I believe.
Yep, I think he was their DB's coach. Yeah.
Yeah, but they always make the right hires, and these guys fit seamlessly into their organizations. Whereas the Browns keep taking stab after stab after stab at trying to bring in guys, and when we take a chance at making a Freddie Kitchens head coach, it blows up in our face. Like when you see, like I said, you see the Baltimore take a chance on a special teams guy, everything works out well. So I don't know. I think that's one of the bigger things is that those 2 organizations, just everything they seem to do, and it always seems to be the right move. Whereas the Browns are, every move that they make is questionable, and you have no idea how it's going to turn out.
I think what it is a lot of those guys, they fit exactly what they're looking for, not just as a player, but a mindset.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to have that mindset of toughness and also intelligence.
What is our mindset? What would you say the Browns' mindset is?
Actually, this is the first year we actually have some kind of identity other than the Nick Chubb run game, where our defense, I got the 2 on this side. I got anybody watching on YouTube, I'm pointing to my poster of Frank Minifield and Hanford Dixon when we had the dog defense, when the dog defense was born. This is the first year that we're not just selling damn T-shirts and hats with dogs and stuff on it, so just to sell them to sell, that we actually have something that represents that team from the late 80s. And if you want to go back to our coaches, you were talking about, some of the past coaches we've had just since 1999. It's always about the hires of guys that's never had head coaching experience. How many guys have we had with that? Not many in the history of the team. Hell, even Marty Schottenheimer hadn't had the NFL head coaching experience. But Marty was a baller, man. That's why it was called Marty Ball, because they ran the damn football, and he had a guy named Bernie Kosar that was smart as hell and could throw it in the wind, throw it in the snow. There's so many benefits to that. But we played AFC Central football back then.
That's right.
And we have not adapted to play AFC North football. I really don't care what goes on in LA and now Las Vegas. And I mean, Kansas City's got Mahomes, and of course we could have drafted him. Could he have did well in Cleveland? That's the thing. Can you plug players that play well elsewhere in Cleveland, and it's just an automatic switch that they're going to do well? Or is our organization that disorganized and that dysfunctional that they can't be successful. I don't know. I mean, it's happened. It hasn't happened enough. Let's just say that the Nick Chubbs and the Myles Garrett, you can't screw that up, right?
Although they almost
Other than not having enough talent with him to help him.
well, they remember there was rumors they almost screwed that up because they almost talking about taking Trubisky in that draft. Remember?
Yeah.
Like, and that's not a knock against Mitch. I'm just saying, Miles, Mitch, like,
right.
So I don't know. I think at this point, the franchise, I guess the direction is they brought in Schwartz, so they have a decent defense. But like, is this going to be the norm? Is this going to become our identity? Are we going to become a defensive football team with a potent offense? If because we've got Watson here for the next however many years, including this year, 4 years, we've got him here. So, are we going to develop an identity that we're going to be able to sustain? After these guys are gone, and
Right.
I don't know that they've. Again, like you said, they haven't done it yet. And granted, there's been very few successful teams since '99 in this city, but they haven't. The identity of this team changes, and it seems like every single season, as opposed to with your Baltimores and your Pittsburghs, like what those organizations and those teams are all about.
Who was your favorite head coach since '99 of the Cleveland Browns?
Greg Williams.
Really?
Oh, dude.
That short taste test he had as a interim head coach.
You know what? The thing about Greg, people can say what the hell they want about him, but that whole Jets thing and putting the guy way back there, I don't give a shit about none of that. I don't.
That was Julius. When that Julius Peppers back there in punt return,
something like that. But that Browns team, when he was here, they were undisciplined. They were committing penalties left and right. Just dumb stuff was happening. When Greg took over and Freddie is the OC, all that stuff stopped. The defense, yeah, they did bend, but they didn't break. And you know what? I think they were top 3, if nothing, I believe, in takeaways that season. So 5-3 after Hugh leaves. The offense looks solid. Now, granted, I mean, that team wasn't, I guess, all that talented, but they just played well together. So I would say, yeah, Greg. Plus, I think I like the fiery ass attitude.
right?
Cleveland really hadn't had a coach like that since the return. So,
And
what about you?
I get the attraction to that because we've had so many lame ass coaches that haven't been that. But for me, it was, and I don't know if the era, it definitely wasn't great, but when Butch Davis was here, he had that Super Bowl credibility from working with the Cowboys. He was a solid head coach at Miami, understood what it took to recognize NFL talent, brought in NFL veterans, players. I know the whole Jeff Garcia and skittish in the pocket thing, but remember we did go 2-0 that year to start the season. But for me, it just felt like like we were able to get guys that were pros to come actually play here that weren't just coming in to cash check. I don't know.
Didn't he cut them all in the second year though? Like I feel like in his second year they let go of a bunch of guys that just blew my mind.
Yeah. Well, and then you had the Winslow pick over the Big Ben pick that we could have had.
Mm-hmm.
That was a tough one, but it's still a long line of bad decisions. But I think with Greg Williams too, to get to your point, yeah, I mean, I understand. It was after the losing of Hugh Jackson. I'm sure it was just a lift for the team to kind of move on from that. They needed to hear a new voice, and you could definitely hear Greg Williams' voice. You weren't going to miss that, and you weren't going to misunderstand his message.
Nope.
However, I just don't think that would have worked long term, and that would have attracted guys to come play here. Because
I
nobody
don't
else
know.
picked him up. Nobody else gave him a head coaching
No,
job.
then that's the thing. That's the thing. You know what? He's not got another gig. We know my man Freddie. He's out in North Carolina, I believe. Um, University of North Carolina. Uh, coach on their staff, I believe. And nobody. You know what? You're right. Nobody's got him, but maybe it's. And again, this is just Browns. Hey, 5-3. That looked real damn good. Maybe that was the pairing that needed to happen. But I saw him give an interview and something to the effect of like Dorsey was going to be the one who was making basically all the personnel decisions and everything else, and he wasn't really down with that. And as soon as that was it was over. So, that was another trip down Brown's memory lane.
But you got to remember too. Don't forget that whole scandal thing that Haslam had with Pilot Flying J.
Yeah.
And, whatever those discounts and all that crap was going on.
Yep.
It was just our franchise was just toxic. It's one thing to be toxic losing and playing bad football. It's another thing do you remember when, for example, Eli Manning could have been drafted by the Chargers? He's like, I ain't playing there.
Yes, told me he ain't gonna play for him.
Right. So I mean, how many players? What was it? Rex Grossman? Wasn't he supposed to? They reached out to him to like finish the last week of the year under the Hugh Jackson era. Remember, he was supposed to. They asked him to come in, and he's like, "Nah, no thanks."
Yeah,
I think it was like Christmas weekend, and he passed on coming back just to fill in as a starter. It was just unbelievable, But we've lived through it, and that's the important thing as fans, as Browns fans, that through all the losses and all the bad players, bad decisions, the thing that we have to always lean on is each other. We've been look what we did to save the franchise, the history and the colors in the 90s, for those that weren't around, and what that meant to the city as the Indians were taking off at Progressive Field. And if you want to kind of look at what the Indians / now Guardians did to help settle down their franchise after a little bit of struggles, after our 90s and early 2000s, we brought in a veteran guy like Terry Francona.
Mm-hmm.
So why is this franchise either afraid or they can't get the next head coach that has the head coaching experience? To me, I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to say Jim Harbaugh. I really think that's a real thing that could happen at the end of this season if Kevin Stefanski and this offense does not turn it around, because we know the defense is there. Can they stay how do I want to say this? Emotionally involved in each game all the way through the end of the year if this offense struggles the whole rest of the year?
Yeah.
Are they going to look as good? Because remember how bad that Ravens offense was on that awesome Ravens Super Bowl defense.
Yeah, it's terrible.
You know what I mean? What Trent Dilfer? They
Yep.
Was it Quadra Ismail? Well, they had Jamal Lewis, but still,
yeah,
they struggled scoring points. But that defense rolled out of bed different. You know what I mean?
I think they think what 160 points on the season. I believe
it was crazy. That's what I meant. The mentality of that defense is what we need our defense to do, and be like, you know what? I don't give a shit if PJ's starting, DTR, or whatever. We're going after the quarterback every play. We're going to be trying to jump routes and get pick sixes.
You hold team 10 points.
Yeah,
you got a good chance to win.
And that's what this defense, I think, is. They're staring at right in the face right now as we have these struggles on offense of if and when Deshaun Watson's going to be able to come back and run it. You still want that ticket to go to the game Sunday?
Yeah, I feel like I have to go. I feel like as a Browns fan, I got. You know what? Maybe I'm going to watch the next Kurt Warner. You never know.
You said that. Yeah, I'll go. You made it sound like somebody that ain't been to church in a while. Like, yeah, I better go. I think I'm overdue. I better check in.
I was in Pittsburgh for the Steeler game. There ain't shit. I do not need to see another Browns game all damn season long after watching that shit.
Right.
I don't need to see another one live again, but
It's hard. There's so many fans, and like I said, we stick together for the most part. I know Browns Twitter can tear each other apart, and it gets stupid sometimes. But
man,
so many people, so many fans, so many of us in this area that invest our time and money and effort, and the things that we pass up doing to spend and to give our attention to this football team. That's why I think we're so passionate and get upset, because it's been so long to have that winning culture, and so much is invested from us fans to this organization, and we just want to have something back. We want to be rewarded back with some success and winning and have fun. We want games. I had to walk too many damn walks after those losses at the stadium, back to the car in the cold. Too many of those. And us as fans, we deserve to have our time. And I really hoping it was going to be this season. But you know what? They got it. They're in prove it mode. They are absolutely in prove it mode. The defense, I can trust. It's nice to see Hopkins kicking well. But we need to see something with that offense. And if it still looks like we're barely going to, get to the 20-point mark, then you're right to go back to what you said about the trade deadline. What are we going to do? What's this? Because you figure the front office, right? Isn't everybody on the hot seat? Not
everybody.
Just Stefanski?
Everybody. In my eyes, everybody is. Now, obviously, like you said, again, we're not in that building. We're not privy, but in my eyes, I think everybody's ass is warm. So,
and if Clarence, let me ask you this: if Stefanski does not survive the season and Jim Schwartz gets the interim head coach position, do you even think? Because remember, he took a little time away, right? He was with the Titans and then was off a year, I believe, right? Took a little time. Does he want to jump back into that head coaching spot again?
Honestly, I think that I would say that there's probably some kind of unspoken thing that, hey, if shit goes south, shit goes sideways, you're just gonna slide into that spot. That would make sense to me. And that might be a secret handshake from Haslam or whatever it is, but I really think that that's half the reason, or that's a big reason why he just decided to come here.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think he saw the talent level in that, and with having Myles Garrett, but then also the secondary. But he knew he needed to rebuild that defensive line, and the way the front office handled that shows the respect that they gave him to bring him in here too. Yeah. I'm sure he told them, if you don't improve this front, the front seven, I'm
not coming here.
Trouble.
Yeah.
And when I say improve the front seven, the backers just need to get healthy.
Yeah.
Because don't the backers look real good when they can roam and run, because the defensive line is now, taking care of business and the quarterback. Stop it.
I think the defensive line was obviously his key. That's kind of, it seems to be his specialty, and he knew that if they could shore up the defensive line, they could basically just kind of roll with the backers that they have and probably be able to still be a productive defense. So, and that's basically what they did. All right, before we get out of here, what do you think is going to happen Sunday?
Yeah, let's go into prediction mode, which I hate prediction modes, but I think I already said it. It's the defense needs to score. We need one touchdown out of them. I think it's a 4 field goal type game for Hopkins. If we're going to win in the 20s, it's probably going to be a 25. I'm saying 25 because Stefanski will do something like go for 2 somewhere, just because it's the analytics say to. We'd probably have to win like a 25-22 type game to have a chance. It's got to be an ugly slugfest type game of defense and some turnovers. The thing is, How many turnovers? I mean, we've had so many turnovers on offense this year too. PJ,
Yeah.
take care of the ball, please. Please take care of that ball.
Yeah. Browns, I think, put up a hell of a fight. I really do. But I don't think they score enough. I think Browns lose 13, 24-13. They don't get killed. They don't get crushed. I just don't think that this offense has got what it takes to basically score enough.
So I think, I said one score on defense, but we need about 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
We need to almost be +3.
Which could happen. I mean,
we got to be the first team to make Purdy look bad.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think we probably have the team set up to do it. So I don't know. I'll let you know. I'll report back when I go. So that's all I got, man. Anything else you want to tell the people?
No, man. I just say, if you're going to the game, do what you can to have fun. I know the scoreboard is our ultimate, sets the tone for Mondays. But try to have fun. You spend your time, you spend your money doing it. Try to have a good time and help be that extra push the team needs, and be loud and be proud to be from Cleveland.
That's right. I second it. I second all that. And always just be nice to one another. Follow everything Believeland does. We're here. And we will see you either Sunday night or Monday afternoon. Browns win. I might go out and have a real good time post game. But if they,
I hope that happens. And so do all the local bars.
Yeah, right. But if it's just a blah blah Browns game and it's an ugly offense and everything else, you'll probably see us Sunday night.
Yep.
Yes.
The Cavs are back in preseason. The Blue Jackets start their first game of the NHL season. So I would like to be able to keep my focus on the Browns at least another 3 months. Into January would be great in a playoff spot. How the hell we get there? I hope we can look back on this episode and go, man, we came a long way, Clarence.
It would be nice. It would be nice. With that being said, as the aforementioned greatest Tar Heel of all time, Freddie J. Kitchens, once said, if you don't wear brown and orange, you don't matter. Peace, everyone.
See you.